Welcome back to Peak Health Revolution. My name is Logan Grundy. Today we're going to be going over a 15-minute mobility flow that's going to cover us off head to toe. What we're going to need for this one right at the very end is a foam roller, and for a couple exercises in there, we're going to need something about this height. This can be a chair, it could be your couch, whatever you have access to, something about that height. Let's get into it. So we're going to start with going to about 90 degrees with both of our legs here. And what we're going to do is just rotate back and forth between these using our arms for support. A lot of the times you see this being done without the arms for support and people are kind of just throwing their body around. We want to have control of it, and the idea is that we're getting as much movement in our hips as possible. So we're trying to come as far as we can, dropping this leg down as much as we can before we start the rotation in our hips. So I'm trying to keep my hips square to you guys as I drop this down. Then when I hit that end point, then I rotate with my hips. So you're going to continue going back and forth with those. And feel for that. Where's that end point? And then two, is each hip the same, or do you have one hip that is maybe better or worse than the other? A lot of the times you guys are going to have one hip that is a little stiffer than the other, and this shows up a lot of the times when you're doing a squat. If you find you tend to shift over as you go through your squat, that's a pretty good indicator of what's going on there, that you have a hip that's stiffer than the other one. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to maintain that same similar position with 90 degrees. We're going to grab one hand onto the ankle, one hand outside. Now what we're trying to do, lift up, rotate in, come touch our heels together, rotate back out, back, down. So up, rotate, over, touch, rotate, come back, down. So we're going to do a couple of those. And what we want with this is for it to be challenging. So you're not just trying to get your heel to your other heel, but you're trying to really lift this leg up as high as you possibly can. And challenging the fullest range of motion that we can. So a big piece of our mobility and improving our mobility comes from the fact that we're actually challenging those ranges of motion and trying to get a little bit more out of it, and that we're not just challenging them in the sense of like just passive stretching, but there's obviously more active, right? Like we're forcing ourselves to lift that leg up into that position. And we'll do one more here. Good. So now what we're going to do, we're going to maintain this position. This arm is going to be out so that this is kind of making 90 degrees or close to as well. This hand we're going to slide under between our hand and our body, and then we're just going to let ourselves fall down over that. Hang out for a couple seconds. You have the choice. You can spend your whole time hanging out here, or what you can do is come in and out of it a couple of times as well. And a lot of you guys are going to feel this either in your, it would be my left hip right now, or crossing over to my right shoulder. This is a really nice stretch because it's such a full body variation of stretching. So back to this, arms coming through, and you're falling down with it. And if you can't get all the way down, that's totally fine and acceptable. If it means that you're just hanging out like this, that's totally fine too. With time, you'll get into a deeper stretch. Then what we're going to do, we're going to come around. We're going to get ourselves set up about like this. And now what we want to do, just lean back till you feel that stretch through this leg. And then just come in and out of that a couple of times. And we'll switch over here. And then after this one is when we're going to start getting into using the little stool I got there, or whatever you have handy with you that's a similar height. So now what we're going to do, we're going to grab it, and I'm going to do basically like a really deep split squat. So as I'm setting up for this, what I want is that this hip is trying to go out and back behind me as far as I can without getting a bunch of bend in my knee. You're going to have some, but you're trying to keep it relatively straight. And then here, what we're trying to do is collapse down this ankle joint and this knee joint and this hip joint. So this is all collapsed down and this one's extended and back open. And you have choices here. You can either hang out in this for about a minute, or you can come in and out of it as well. And then as your mobility gets better, what you're going to be able to do is drop the height of this over time until you can get right down all the way to the ground, while maintaining still that this back leg is going out nice and straight behind you. So you can feel this in a lot of different spots. You can feel it pull through this whole front hip, this whole front leg, or you can feel it kind of all of this that's collapsed down. Let's switch over. And again, you might find that you have a better or a worse side with this. For me, my left ankle is always not quite as mobile as my right side, so I have a bit more trouble getting into it on this side of things. So again, you can either hold that the whole time, or you can move in and out of it. So now we're going to tuck that away for just a quick minute. Next thing you want to do, you want to go up to a wall, get nice and close to it. You want basically that this leg can go is straight, so it's not dipped in, not dipped out. Then what we're going to do, we're going to take our arms, we're going to come all the way back here, then we're going to rotate around and drop down. So this one might be a little confusing. You might have to watch it for a second here before you figure it out. But basically, if you think of that one elbow just drawing a big arc, that's what you're shooting for. And we'll switch it over to the other side here. And we'll go again. This is really nice because it challenges our shoulder and all through our back and our spine. All right. The next thing what we're gonna do, we're gonna finish off by grabbing your foam roller. We're gonna slide down onto it. What we want is that it's supporting our entire spine as well as up onto our head. So once you get situated on there, what you want to do, start with your arms all the way up overhead and then draw nice big snow angels basically there. And what you're looking for is where do you feel the most tension, whether that's in your forearms, your biceps, front of your shoulder, into your chest. What area do you feel it the most? And then just hang out in those areas. So if it's way up here, hang out up here. If it's down further, then hang out down further. Another thing that you can think about to help get a little bit more of a stretch through there. So imagine if someone had a little string tied around each of your middle fingers and was actually like pulling them further apart. And that will just like the thought of that and like actively kind of trying to like have them pulled apart, if that makes sense, will just add that extra little stretch for you. So for me, this is like the spot that I absolutely feel it the most. So I'm just gonna hang out here now for the rest of it. Basically, what you can do is spend as long as you want here at this point. If that's just a minute for you, that's all the time you have, then that's fine. But if you have more time, definitely spending more time here is better. This is one of the best exercises you can do right before bed is just come lay on your foam roller for like 3, 5, 10 minutes, whatever you have, like this, especially because so many of us like work at a desk or lots of time driving or everything's always in front of us, right? This is a great way to kind of realign your spine, open front of your chest up, and then go to bed with everything in good position so that you're getting time spent there versus going to bed after a long day curled over at your desk. You're going to go to bed in that curled over posture versus kind of getting things realigned. So this is a perfect one for right before bed. But I will wrap it up there for you guys. That's a great full body routine. We're going to go through a couple other ones that are going to hit on get more work done on our upper body and our shoulders. But this one very hip dominant today. So hopefully your hips are feeling a little more open.